Hello everyone and welcome to Anime Iwai Mini. My name is Nicholas Cruz, I'm president of Open House Studio, and today we're hosting our panel at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I invite you all to learn more about voice acting and how it empowers our lives and the positivity around the community and to others. This is our future home in November for the biggest event that Open House will be hosting. Now I want to invite you guys out to something that's going to be historic and incredible right here with Anime Iwai. For those who are watching and are wondering what exactly is Open House Studio, well, you can look us up. We've got a lot of amazing projects and some incredible voice actors and filmmakers alike. We hope that you guys find some peace and solitude in knowing that if you're ever feeling down or you feel like you can't do it, you can. This is living proof that you can do anything that you believe if you put your mind to it. These are things that we'll be discussing in our panel today at 4 p.m. Eastern here at the Marriott Fort Lauderdale North. For those at Anime Iwai, we say thank you to all of you guys for allowing us to host this opportunity. And for those who want to experience a true anime vibe with an incredible community of people, I highly recommend that you come check us out. If you can't make it today here on July 29th, we have another big event coming out in November. More information will be on the bottom of the link of this video. Until then, thank you, and get ready for one of the biggest, historic, and incredible events in November with Anime Iwai Orbit. Of course, we have a vocalist and college player, Ariel. Hello, Ariel. So to kind of get us started off, we always do like to do a little tradition. And since we're all about anime and video games, we're going to have a first cover song ever from Anime Iwai. Ariel, would you like to take it away?
You ready? You got to stick any time but what? Me took out at time and I could not was it night but good no quarter was it night Tariga you got she got no one you right was you got that battle makes me I'll be
Ariel Price, ladies and gentlemen! Wow, incredible! Take a bow, take a bow! Take a little curtsy bow. Ariel Price, who's now just recently joined up with us as a special guest with Open House Studio. You can be catching us in a couple of other live performances coming up. Amazing, amazing vocalist. But now, of course, guys, you guys came here to learn about voice acting. Who's ready to learn about voice acting? Who wants to come? So, as a voice actor, we get a lot of the questions, what I call the golden question. Where do I start to become a voice actor? Do I get a microphone first? Do I just set out submissions through my iPhone or Android device and just kind of get gigs that way? Well, we're going to debunk all these theories and all these questions you may have. And of course, a little bit later on the panel, we'll take a live. But yes, we'll have a live Q&A later. So for you guys who may want to ask questions about what it's like being in the industry, what do you do? What do we do? But let's move it on to our other actors. So we're actually going to start off from the very, very beginning when I first started Open House Studio. And he was just starting out, Lonnie Marks. Lonnie, give a round of applause for Lonnie. He's wearing a straw hat. We're getting, he's like a tourist here in Florida. So go ahead and tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, so I started out voice acting because as a kid, I'm sure like most of us here who are interested in voice acting, I remember watching Scooby-Doo and Dragon Ball Z and then realizing that someone's got to make all those voices. And I got interested, and it wasn't until June of last year I went ahead and did something. I didn't really know what I was supposed to do, but I posted a video of me reading a book online. Someone recommended a website to me to try out. Tried it out. Nick here found me on there, and here we are a year later. I'm working with a couple other voice actors right now, putting together a couple projects, and it's all good stuff, and it's really fun, and I think anyone can do it. And if you're interested and passionate about it, you should definitely pursue it. So.
Awesome. Awesome job. Now, Lonnie, real quick though, congratulations to you, because recently you were announced as a top 5er in the clientele as voiceover. Congratulations on that. That's a huge achievement. That's a massive achievement right there. So. Oh, thank you, man.
Give me a shot.
No, it's you. Not Oh, no, you make me blush. Anyway, so Lonnie, tell us a little bit about how you started off. Tell us a little about your backstory into when you first started with Fiverr, when I first met you, and how that spiraled. Because you've done actually a couple of commercials, actually, for other companies, and I saw you doing a couple of TV show commercials, or I guess video bits for a company in India to do some, I guess, some sporting events. So tell us what that's like.
Okay. Well, what is it like? There's a lot that goes into it. Voice acting, I don't think it's not as hard as some other things you can do, you might wind up finding yourself doing in life. It's not exactly, manual labor or anything like that, but it does take a lot of discipline, and it takes a lot of time behind the microphone. It takes networking, and it takes learning the craft. How many of you guys have seen Ed, Edd n Eddy? Yeah. Okay, cool. You guys remember Naz and May Kanker from Ed, Edd n Eddy? Yeah. I actually was fortunate enough to be on the phone with the lady who played both of them a few days ago. And she gave me some great tips and pointers and recommended a couple of training places to me, and it was fantastic. I have her number now, and she's like, call me back in 6 months, let me know how it's going. And it's only been a year. I'm like, this is insane, meeting people like that. I got to talk to the guy who played Nappa in Dragon Ball Z. Called him on the phone, he lives up in Canada. And stuff like that, it's amazing. You meet some amazing, incredible people. The work isn't that hard, but the discipline and diligence it takes to stay after it does take some time to learn, because I know a lot of us here are probably artists, and as artists, I know me personally, I get distracted very easily with a lot of different creative ideas and ventures. So it takes learning how to focus, I think. And it's been a really, really fun journey, a fun process. And it's totally worth it. It's worth learning how to do well and do right the first time around. So, and it's a ton of fun. So.
Well, congratulations, Lonnie. Congratulations on your success. There's another young voice actor that's joined Open House. Most amazing baritone voice you'll hear in your entire life. This dude can probably serenade you through this microphone like no tomorrow with his deep baritone voice. So, basically, Chase and I, we first met when I was doing the Persona 5 project. Who are here are Persona fans? Anyone here big Persona fans? We got, all right, a couple. All right, so we did a audio drama based off a character named Goro Kechi, and at the time, this is actually a little bit before I started my studio becoming official. I asked one of the major Facebook pages called Fansite. I said, hey, listen, I'm looking for voice actors. You might have a post-edition post. They said, yeah, sure. So then I get an email from CSS Stanty. And he's like, I'd like to audition for Igor. And I said, okay, well, let's take a listen. I listened to the first time. I was like, you're hired. Dude, this is incredible. It sounds literally from the video game without any special effects. But Chase here is super talented. We actually were
just like, oh, what? You just get into a booth and just do like wacky voices, like, huh, boys and girls? Well, it's completely opposite of that. There is a lot of like talent, and like Lonnie just said, there is a lot of discipline you do have to put into there, for just sort of like making sure you get your lines done, reading the emotions, reading just like, because you are projecting your voice into a character all through your throat and like vocal cords and whatnot. Like, that's pretty scary for some people, but just sort of like, honestly, it is worth it, because it is a beautiful piece of work that you can do, and just like the adventure of doing that is amazing. And I want to just like show people that you can do this regardless of just like gender, sex, or just body. It's just like anyone can do it. You just have to put in the time and put in the talent and just put in the work that you have to do with it. And that's honestly what I'm trying to promote with through Open House, and I think Nick's trying to do that as well, and that's why I feel so at home here.
Awesome. Now we're coming down to our last man, Jason. All right, let's go, Jason. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Nick?
I'm doing pretty swell. We got an amazing crowd here with Anime Iwai. They look very, very nice. All very handsome, except for that guy over there. So, Jason, you're a new voice actor. You're just started off. You're what we call a novice, and I think it's really interesting in your perspective as a no voice actor, as many as us are trying to build themselves into the industry, and you see it from a different perspective. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I recently got cast in my second role ever. Aside from just playing Bert Holt for Open House Studios, which is an amazing opportunity, it's what got me started on this path. I recently found out that another role I was approved for, and they're still writing the script, but they've broken it up. I'm going to be voicing Beerus for another project, and I just never thought it'd get to the point where I get a second role this fast. I've only been voice acting since I think November. I met Nick in person just out randomly doing errands, and we got to talking because he was playing Persona 5 music, and Persona, it brings people together and gets them jobs.
It does. That's a slogan right there.
I should write their slogan for Persona 6 at least. But I never thought it would get to the point where I was at SuperCon with them. I'm a dude who's not even in one of our trailers. I just have my cast trailer out, and I'm just some new guy who has no standing on any of the websites or any real demos going on. And I got to go to SuperCon with these guys. They're helping me push myself out there, and they're instilling that discipline that they're talking about. I'm still learning a lot of it. It's incredibly difficult to comprehend all the work that goes into this at first, but after you start to understand it, you will really appreciate all the things that you saw as a child and all the voices that you heard. It makes a huge difference on how you see that.
We're again moving on to our next panel, which is Voice Acting 101. Who's ready to learn how to voice act? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have some great news for you guys. A lot of you might not know, because I hear this a lot of time that say, oh, my voice isn't capable enough to do this role, I can't do it, my voice sounds nasally, I sound nerdy, I sound too deep, I sound like a frog. Well, the good news is when it comes to voice acting, there's literally a role for everyone. So for those out there right now that think they can't do it or too shy to do it, you can do it. Absolutely. No matter what the style of your voice is, or high, how low, there's always going to be a role open for you. You just got to kind of go out there and study up and figure out what works for you. Sometimes you may get rejected. I've gotten rejected from big name companies before, like Funimation, VizMedia, Rooster Teeth. I've been rejected, but that's okay. The thing you understand is that no matter how many times you're going to get rejected, there's going to be someone out there that's going to find you, and they're going to like you, and they're going to say, this is the voice I've been looking for a long, long time. And it's going to be in the most unexpected place that you would never think. So keep pushing. For those who have already started or kind of feeling down or feeling low about it, keep pushing to doing voice acting, because remember this one thing and this one special piece of advice, it's literally an art form. Theater, voice acting, they're hand in hand. It's a way of expressing ourselves and becoming a character that we know and love. You guys all watch anime and video games, hence why we're here at Anime Iwai, right? There's characters, we got Kirito over here, I got some guy wearing a Sonic shirt, he's not Sonic but he's wearing it. We got Spooderman over here, so these are all characters that we know and love, but they all have their own voice and personality. So the way that we make them come alive is through our voice. The guy in the back, Spooderman's hiding. So it's about making that character come alive through your voice, right? Of course, there's that stigma that goes around, well, you have to stick close to Japanese. I don't really agree with that, because there are some voices that you can give a certain personality of your own that you can relate to a character that adds more to the performance. So those are things to keep in mind before you take a role. Study up on the character. If it's a fan dub, if it's an indie project, all those little things before you start looking at characters you want to play. Just know your history about them a little bit and see if you can relate to them. There's nothing better than doing a character that you can relate to, because you're going to just fit right in. So it's always, always important. So now, voice acting. Let me get my voice ready. Yeah. So now when it comes to voice acting, the one thing we all have to keep in mind is going to be your tool of voice acting. So I want everybody to put up a number one. Put up a number one. Your number one tool for voice acting is not your throat. Everybody say, not your throat. Not your throat. It's the diaphragm down here. Everybody remember tell me like you just had a bad tummy ache. Right there. You had a really bad tummy ache. What are you doing? That's flapping. I said rub it. Okay, you're done. You're done. You're out of my panel. Get out of here. Okay, so yes, the diaphragm is the most key part to do any type of voice acting, whether it be changing your accent to maybe a little bit more simple, clean, really soft. But everything is exchanged through your diaphragm. How much air that comes through it and how it comes out. Remember, this is a muscle. Vocal cords in your chest, all muscles are all connected. That's the number one thing you need to keep in mind. How you take an intake in your diaphragm and how you extubate it out is how it's going to change your voice and your performance. And then, of course, dramatics and so on and so forth, which we'll touch on. So now, we're going to do a little bit of an exercise. So what I want everybody to do is get up. Everybody get up! Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, come on. It's Anime Iwai, come on, ladies and gentlemen, come on, get up. So what we're going to do, we're going to loosen up. So I want everybody to call, fall, I'm moving away from that freaking thing, okay. So I want everybody to kind of just roll their shoulders. Loosen up, right? We're all friends here, right? We're in a safe environment, we're all dressed up. It's totally not weird. Well, just to make it Tumblr weird. Just roll it out. There you go. Roll your neck around, just like this. You know, it's been a long, stressful day of walking at this con. Just kind of, let that energy. You guys feel that? Now, I want everybody to take a deep breath in.
Boy.
Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Feel like your face is turning blue. Then blow it out. Oh, that feels good. That stress, man. I felt it from over here. You guys let that stress out. Now, what I just did had nothing to do with voice acting. I just wanted you guys to get comfortable. Now, I want you guys to turn to your neighbors and high-five them and say hello and welcome.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Way too excited for our character.
Yes, you are way too excited.
Hello.
Now, reason why I'm doing all these little things, these little high fives and gestures and breathing and everything, you want to get comfortable in your environment. You're going to be in some studios where it might be really cramped. You might be working with different individuals live. Majority, I'll say about 90% of the time you won't, but in some cases you do, and you never know who you're going to work with, so you need to get comfortable with who it is. No matter what they look like, how they smell, because some of them, they smell like they've only eaten Doritos their whole life, and Mountain Dew. But you have to accept that person, and you got to be comfortable in your position. And the reason why I say that is I recently spoke with Chris, who does the voice of Gladio from Final Fantasy 15. You guys can sit down, by the way. I'm so sorry. You guys can sit. Sit. Oh, I'm so sorry. I had you guys standing there. I was like, you guys can sit.
Good
so
to know
sorry.
we have your permission.
Yes, thank you. You guys can sit. Yeah.
Thank you, Captain.
So Chris Parson, who does the voice of Gladio from Final Fantasy 15, we had a good chat talking about it, voice acting in general, like a deep conversation. That was from my heart. I was like, wow. So the thing he was saying is that a lot of the times, young voice actors, such as yourselves and these guys up here, is that when they come up to do a line, right? Look up to the booth, get your script, look at the line, then you have the guy, the director, all right, let's take the card in 3, 2, 1, red light. And then first thing that happens is that you see your lines, you freeze. It's what we call red light fever. All right, so you guys say that with me now. Red light fever. Red light fever. Now what that is that you're so anticipated to doing a line. You're right there, you know your role, you practice this, you rehearse this, and then right before you do a line, you see the red light, you just freeze. So we're going to actually help, all those little things are going to help you get over that. Now, it takes practice. It's not something that's going to be finished right away and a snap of a finger, like, okay, I can come in here, no problem. It takes time. It honestly does. With that being said, and speaking about studios and comfortable positions, I want everybody to put up a number one more time. Put up a number one. A voice actor's best friend. And this is going to blow your mind because you will see this in every single voice acting studio ever, is green apples. Ooh, I saw everybody's expression, green apples, wow. Now you're probably wondering, why is it that green apples have a specific way of helping us as voice actors? Well, to give you a quick rundown, green apples actually have an enzyme that keeps our throat and mouth lubricated, especially when we do long lines or panels here at Anime Iwai, where I talk a lot. So green apples make sure you stay hydrated and stay your mouth lubricated, and also gets rid of the smack. So when you do a line into a microphone, you get the gets rid of it right away. So things to keep in mind. So what we're going to do now is kind of show off a little bit of voice acting prowess for the new guys.
Our children, what?
What could possibly be more important than the children I so happen to forget I have?
It was their talent show.
Why do you think I'm with you? Why do you think I care? The only reason I have you is because Jason left, and you were all that I had left.
I know I'm a terrible father, but sheesh, don't even destroy my psyche as it is.
How do you even know they're yours? How do you know that you love me? Do you?
I do.
I love Amelia.
Yes! Got it all! That was amazing. Oh, that was great. That was, oh my gosh. Life complete.
Are you okay?
I don't know what to feel, honestly.
Sadness.
Oh my
You should be feeling
I
sadness.
mean, that too, but rather confused. Who's Amelia?
She's the house.
Oh, yeah, she's a housemaid.
Watch Race Hero.
So, now, you guys have all seen a little bit of different styles of voice acting. Anger, sadness, happy. And these are all important things to think about of how you would actually feel when you get into the booth and to do a role. So now the first thing I want to let everybody know, because this is the burning question, how do I get into voice acting, right? Is that everybody's question in everybody's mind? How do we get into voice acting, or else we wouldn't be here, right? First thing is, first, you don't need to get a microphone first. Don't go out there spending $300 on microphones and getting pop filters and sound cure foam. You don't need that just yet. That's something that's a little bit later on. What you need to do is find your voice. Find your range. Are you a deep baritone type character? Are you minimum range, kind of like my voice? Or can you go all the way really, really high? Hello, everybody. Kind of like Mickey Mouse. Really, really high. Oh, boy. So you can go really high or you can go really, really low, depending on how you change your voice. So all those things you need to keep in mind of what we call range. Range is your biggest thing to decide which role would fit for you. Do you have that happy-go-lucky, like, oh my god, I'm an anime character and I'm young and about to go fight a dragon? Or are you just a sad and depressing character? I don't care about this life anymore. I went to MovieCo, my movie tickets were expired, I was going to see Spider-Man 3 and now I can't even watch it. My life sucks. See, all those things you got to think about. What is your range? How can you feel and fit into that character? Because those are the things that really make you stand out as a voice actor. Now, all of us here can do a decent amount of impressions, which is nice. Well, the one thing I want to let you know, because I've spoken literally, and I can name them off, Max Middleman, Brittany Karbowski, which are people that are really famous in the voice acting industry, they will all tell you it's really not about impersonations. To me, they're more like a party trick or like a little magic trick that you can do. It's fun, it's good practice. But what a lot of the industry, what they're looking for is original voices. So you got to kind of mess around, play around your voice, just if you're in the mirror or you're just doing some weird stuff, just alone in your car, and you're just talking to yourself, and the guy next to you is looking at you like, ¿qué es eso? ¿Cómo un problema con ese señor? And just drives off in the I-95 and slams the brakes on you, and you're like, come on, man, I was doing different voices. He's like, I don't care. So then you got to understand that you have to mess around. Play with different character voices in your mind and then put it into your voice. And that is the number one step in becoming a further voice actor. So what we're going to do, we're going to hear from the veterans first, what their tips are as voice actors. Then we'll go down to the rookies. So we're going to start off in the beginning with Lonnie, since you recently won an award for Fiverr, blah, 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 you magic man, you.
Magic. Like Nick said, it's all magic. It's just magic. And you have to be a wizard. No. A wizard, Ari.
A wizard.
You're a wizard.
I think one of the most important things I would tell anybody about voice acting is make sure you do your research. You guys being here at the panel, you guys taking the right step. And if you want to figure out how it's done, look up YouTube videos. There's a podcast called Tip of the Tongue. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Jello Apocalypse on YouTube. He's pretty awesome. He has a whole series about voice actors and how to get into voice acting. I recommend starting with that. He talks about what to not have on your demo reel, how to find your voice. Whenever you find your voice, you want to basically read something and then maybe send it to a friend and ask them, hey, where would you imagine hearing this voice? That's something easy and practical you could do. Just read something in your normal voice, whether you're excited about it or sad about it, whatever it is, then send it to somebody who doesn't know you and say, where would you expect to hear this audio sample or something like that? They might say, I would hear this on commercials, or I'd hear this playing on this type of character. And then from there, you kind of have a direction in which to pursue. Like Nick said, you want to figure out what is your style, who are you? Impressions are cool, but there's already a Patrick Warburton out there. There's already, all the people out there that you know about already exist. What's your voice? What makes you special? What about your voice is unique? Play on that, because it is awesome and people want to hear that. And again, the other biggest thing I heard recently was that voice acting is, the acronym is VA. It's a little v for voice. Voice is a small part. Acting is what you really want to practice. If you can get into musical theater while you're in high school, college, out of whatever it is, get into it. Learn how to act, because that is what's going to take you very far. When people hire you, they want to hear how you convey your emotions. If they ask you to play someone sad, it's just like, oh no, I'm sad. Or do you really make them feel like, I'm not going to do an impression because I can't do it. I stay away from those types of roles. But you want to be able to convey that emotion that you're being asked to convey. You want to feel it when you listen back to it, and you want them to feel it when they listen to it. So make sure you're acting and experiment with your voice, like Nick said. Figure out what's comfortable for you and play to your strengths. So.
All right, pass it on to Ariel.
Certain question or?
Well, just basically give us some experiences that you have with voice acting. Maybe some tips that you guys have.
I do have one good tip for
this is something I learned while I was having some voice training for singing live. Is on recording, you're in a booth, you've probably had time to practice, you're relaxed, you're not in front of people, you're not thinking about too much. But before a performance, you've got a lot on your mind. It just feels like the world is going to crash down on you. I've gotten over it a little bit. But something that really helps is, it sounds weird, but hissing through your teeth. Breathe in and slowly let it out. And that really, really helps compress. Of course, you loosen up, as he said, it's all here, but something that really helps is controlling your mouth and hissing and getting that out, because a lot of recordings will have someone that, you're getting into it, a character, you're getting worked up, maybe you're getting shaky, sweaty, you're doing lines one after another. 1 minute you're crying, or the next minute you're yelling, and saliva is going to be building up. So to try to get past that, which is a real bad, it's bad in recordings. It can be heard, and a lot of the directors will send it back going, hey, what's this? Can you redo this one line? After 81 lines, just do this one line. It's all because of a hiss. Now, if you just go, it also helps before going into the booth, not just before going on stage. And I'd say that's one of the biggest things that helped me.
Awesome. Great tips. Wow, really good. Now, moving down the line, moving on to Chase Stanty. Now, interesting thing about Chase, you do a lot of theater work as well. I know you recently did some auditions and everything, and I always tell everybody theater is a huge part of building up your acting repertoire. So, tell us a little bit about that and how that's helped you voice acting.
Well, thank you once again. I'd say definitely for those wanting to get out there and just sort of like, how do you get into voice acting? Definitely start with acting. That is definitely a big thing. Voice acting is acting, because it's just like, you're studying a lot of things when going into theater. It's just body posture, voice control, and just sort of like all this other things you have to look and whatnot. I think one of the big things is just sort of like what's going on now and then with just like the general acceptance of voice acting, just like, oh, I can just watch like an anime or a video game and whatnot, and just like listen to that and just sort of like do that. And it's just like, that is definitely a big no-no, because you're just you're hearing the voice as it is. You're not seeing the body posture, the inflection, the way the voice actor is standing, or how they are like before and after takes and just whatnot. So I definitely say not only study theater as well, just sort of like seeing the body move and whatnot, but study just like live action films or like TV series and whatnot. See how like different actors convey that sort of like posture and whatnot, and just like sort of see how they do it as well. Because just like there's a lot of things. The body is honestly like one of like, your voice is one thing, but how you stand and how you present yourself will reflect the character extremely well. One thing that I often did when I was voice acting for Igor, yes, I had my impression and whatnot, but I just sort of like really got into the role. I sort of, you think he's really just sort of like this sort of like crotchety looking person who really just sort of like crouches down a lot. So basically, I recorded all my lines under my bed, covered. So basically to really just sort of like get that feel of just sort of like this person, eventually the voice naturally just comes to you and just sort of like, you really get to sort of like feel that sort of thing and whatnot. So study theater, study body movement and whatnot, how an actor portrays himself, how an actress portrays himself, and just sort of like go on for that. Voice is second, your body. Voice is first, your body is second.
Absolutely. Well said, Chase. Now moving down to Jason. Now, Jason, as we mentioned earlier, you're a little bit newer to the voice acting world. Very new to the voice acting world. So now I want you to do something a little bit different. Give your more introspective into what it's like starting as a rookie into bigger and massive projects, which I think is a big topic for a lot of you guys here. So,
as they were all speaking, I was thinking about that actually, because the way I actually got interested in wanting to be a voice actor wasn't that too much long ago. It was about a year and a half ago when Team 4-Star started putting out their behind the scenes stuff, or X the Dark One started putting out their in the booth stuff where you could watch them in the booth recording episodes alongside that episode. And one day I was just talking to my friend and he's like, hey, maybe you could do like a good impersonation of Cell from Dragon Ball Abridged. And I'm like, all right, I'll try it. And then you wind up with this, and it's just condescending and fun. I wind up talking to my friends like this. I answer the phone at work like this. People freak out. It's great. Like doing those impressions, it really does help. But at the same time, if I didn't see those guys in the booth or even Kaiser Neko doing all the editing, I never would have understood all the hard work that went into this. And moving on from just doing goofy voices for my friends or reciting episodes or just having fun with my voice, which is how I found my range. Like, you can go online to YouTube, and on the Open House Studio page, there's the first recording I ever did with Nick, and I sounded like this. I was terrified, and it was way worse than this. And that was for my Berthold character introduction. And then when the trailer dropped, I changed the voice entirely to, I know that none of us will ever see each other again after we go through this, but Ryder and I have to stop them. It's an evolutionary process. It's going from like how I perceive the character to be by watching the English and Japanese dub to really thinking, how can I make this character my own? He's not a raspy, wimpy, nervous kid. He's terrified of what he has to do, and I need to convey that with my voice. And moving on to larger projects like this, like I got incredibly lucky by meeting Nick and all these people just in my day-to-day life. That will never happen in my life again. Like Bo Burnham has this great quote, don't follow your dreams, work hard, because if you follow your dreams, you're going to wind up on a street corner playing guitar instead of, playing piano with a harem in a College Humor video a year after your YouTube page goes massive.
And well said, and this is from the beginner voice actor, so you get a little bit of an insight of what it's like as a beginner voice actor. Okay, perfect. So now, another big thing about voice acting, of course, is one day coming to dramatic roles. Who here likes Dragon Ball Z? Anybody here like Dragon Ball Z? Dun, 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 dun. What is Dragon Ball Z notorious for? That whole screaming stuff? Yes, the whole, going Super Saiyan and everything. But let me tell you something that's extremely, extremely important when you come to do screaming lines. And this is something Ari and I are going to discuss. First off, never lock your knees. You'll faint. You'll just fall over like a plank. You don't want that happening in the booth because then they'll be calling 911 and then you probably have to wait another couple of days before you do lines. So never lock the knees. Everybody say never lock your knees. Never lock your knees. Never do that when you're doing yelling scenes or just voice acting in general. The next thing is projection. Have a good posture. Look into the microphone. And then cry. I'm just kidding. So basically, when you do these specific lines, like in Dragon Ball Z, I like to call it booming your voice. You don't want to yell. If you yell, you're going to scratch up your throat, and you're going to be out of a voice acting job for at least a good month or so till your voice recovers. That's how you blow out your voice. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, a Dragon Ball Z character actually fainted live in his recording booth when it happened. I don't remember which character specifically. Yes, who was it?
That would be Sean Schemmel doing the Super Saiyan 3 Goku voice. He passed out and was out of commission for about 2 months because of, I believe, a 5-minute screen recording.
So keep that in mind. So what I always say the safer way of doing it is using your diaphragm. Again, everybody rub their tongue like right here, right there. Yeah, that's right. Some have bigger ones, some have smaller ones, but your diaphragm. So when you're doing into these screaming roles, I like to call it like an elevator. Think about it going higher. You go from 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step, and to doing these type of screaming. Now I really want to hear your scream because you've been dying to do it. So all right, I'm gonna let you go first.
There's 2 kinds.
Yeah.
Am I screeching like the female Titan, or
whatever
am I
you want.
dying?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
The first one is female Titan. It's more of a screech. It can be done. It's not supposed to be done inhaling, but it can be done exhaling. This is done inhaling. Now, exhaling, it is really hard to do. It's more of a lower tone if you want to do it exhaling. It's not very healthy to do it inhaling. And it doesn't really sound like the original. Now, for someone dying or about to be eaten, this is your regular screaming.
Okay, please go. Everybody's awake now. All right, thank you, Ari. So, the police are on their way. We got a woman in distress. So, now another big thing is you want to keep in mind, it's about the diaphragm. Don't blow out your throat. Please do not use your throat for these screaming lines. So I'm going to demonstrate another one. I'm going to take my glasses off for this one. So this is actually from the Persona 5 story. If you guys don't know or never played Persona, the way that in Persona 5 they retrieve their persona or grant the power of persona, they have a mask and they have to rip it off their face. So they're screaming and kicking and they're crying. So, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a spoiler, so I'm sorry, but that's actually coming in our audio drama for Persona 5 Sumo Hardcore Catchy Story. You might want to turn it down a little bit, yeah. I can't, you can turn up a little bit. I can't feel my face. I can't do it. I can't stop my persona. I can't. I'm for this. That's how you summon your persona. Woo! That's really like that. Need a fan.
Makes you like
Oof,
that.
yeah. That does make you lightheaded. That's why you gotta be careful, oh my god. Especially when I did that. Yeah, I was in a recording booth, I was like, oh, I almost died.